We're here now with David Trowbridge with the Tuning Project at Marshall University. Thank you so much for joining us today, David.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to New Orleans. Just learned that this was your first time to New Orleans.
It is hard to imagine and justify that I've managed to miss this town for so long.
I know, and I know conferences it's tough to actually get around a city when you're at a conference, but I do hope that you get a chance, to get out and enjoy all we have to offer in New Orleans. Let's talk about the Tuning Project. What is it? What's the purpose? What are y'all's goals?
Well, it's an opportunity for faculty to come together and ask important questions and define what it is that a history major is, what it could be, what our students are doing with the skills, and really think what could they be doing with the skills? How can we do better? And how can we spread this message? You know, as historians, everyone here is deeply passionate about what we do. And passionate people have a hard time being concise. And part of the Tuning Project is finding ways to have concise messages about the value of a history degree, its relevance, and how it can lead to careers and lives of meaning and purpose.
And what are you hearing? You and I were discussing earlier, some of the basic concerns of the freshman or sophomore college student of, getting that history degree and turning that into a profession. What are you hearing?
Well, my students are terrified, and we have to be there for them. We're not just academics. We're mentors, and we have a responsibility. These students we have to make sure that it's not the paralyzing kind of fear that doesn't encourage action, the empowering kind of fear that forces action we can use. And so our students, the AHA is concerned about employability of our students because our students are concerned about employability. And if we're able to explain to them why it is, from the freshman survey on, why it is that you're going to write this paper that's going to end up in a wastebasket of some professor. It's an exercise. And I ask my students, sometimes I'll ask them, what's the worst class that you're required to take? Because I know they'll never say history, right? They're too polite.
Right.
But it's usually algebra. And I'll say, okay, why don't you want to take algebra? And they'll describe, I'm never going to use this again, I'm never going to need to do this, there's no real practical application. And I'll look at them and I'll just sort of agree. I'll say, okay, well, let's wipe that class out, and what others are we going to get rid of? And I say, okay, so we've just eliminated 30 hours of work. What would you do with the time? And they tell me things like they would go to the gym more often. I said, okay, that's wonderful, go to the gym more often. What would you do there? And they sort of, work out. And I said, okay, so you'd pick up a heavy thing, and you lift it over and over again, and then you put it back down exactly where you found it. That seems a lot like writing a paper that ends up in a wastebasket, right? So why do you do it? Or the young ladies will laugh at the muscle-bound guy. And, I said, I've seen you too. You're on a treadmill. You're not going anywhere. Why do you do this? It's an exercise. It's the same thing with this. If there was an exercise you could do to make your brain stronger, would you do it? That's what this is. And then if you can connect it to employability, because I've actually sat down with employers, and they are not interested in students who cannot read and think critically and communicate effectively and ask deep, important questions. There's this concern that the AHA's Tuning Project is catering too much to employers. After talking with these employers, they want us to raise our standards. And they're interested in the skills that we're training. And it's just a matter of controlling that conversation. We talked with them for an hour and a half. By the end of it, they're handing me business cards, and they want the names of my students. I was actually uncomfortable with some of that. Well, let me ask my students if they even want to talk to you. But that's a lot different from assuming that our employers are there for business majors, to talking to them about what a history degree is, and now they want to reach out. And I've actually got employers that they're going to do mock interviews with my sophomores and juniors. They're not prospecting, they're not trying to hire anyone. They want to be connected with faculty that can recommend good folks.
Now the 3-year grant ends next year. What do you hope to really have had accomplished by that time?
At the very least, we want to ask important questions and think deeply and really challenge ourselves. at the very least, the tuning project has a defensive mechanism, right? We want to get out in front of assessment and other things that maybe if we don't do, we can't control as much. But I hope we also take the opportunity to take control of these conversations with students and with faculty, with other faculty members, with parents, with administrators, about why a history degree and a life of studying history is relevant and important and will lead to meaningful careers as well as meaningful lives, and you know, we create citizens as much as we're creating anything else. That's a message we need to get out in front of.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's obvious you are so passionate, everyone here, about what
Yes.
you do.
Yeah.
And I do hope that you get a chance to go on maybe some of the tours, and obviously so much history here in New Orleans.
I've got one coming up today.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
And enjoy some of our great food too.
will do.
Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.